Welcome to Squadron Scale Workshop. My name is Brett Green, and today we'll be taking a look at Tamiya's brand new de Havilland Mosquito FB6 in 32nd scale. The kit comprises a whopping 678 parts in grade plastic, plus another 25 grade parts for the crew figures, 42 parts in clear, which include a limited edition set of clear engine cowling covers, 2 photo etch frets, 1 masking sheet, a whole bag of little screws, bolts, magnets, shafts, and even a screwdriver, plus markings for 3 aircraft on the large decal sheet and also a large stencil marking sheet. The kit features beautiful restrained surface detail, accurately reflecting the largely plywood construction of the airframe, and an incredible amount of detail, including, I think, probably the best cockpit that I've ever worked on. The engine bays are beautiful, there's a large amount of detail in the wheel wells, and the ordnance bay is just gorgeous, packed with detail, and it's almost a shame to put the bombs in there and hide some of the detail deep inside. But this is a magnificent model. It's a wonderful project. It will give you many hours of pleasure, and what we're going to do now is have a look at the sprues of Tamiya's 32nd scale Mosquito. Each fuselage half is moulded as a separate front and rear section. This gives us a tantalising hint that perhaps in the future we might see bomber versions. The interior of the cockpit sidewalls are festooned with raised circles. Don't worry though, these aren't ejector pin marks. They're supposed to be there. On the real aircraft, these were plywood circles that were glued to the interior of the fuselage in order to fix fittings and instruments. Not surprisingly, the rear fuselage, with its plywood construction, doesn't really have a lot of surface detail. It's nice and smooth. The wings are built up around a very stout spar, which also incorporates the top of the cockpit rear deck and the ordnance bay, and also the top of the wheel wells. This is one of the lower wing halves. You can see here some of the nice subtle raised surface detail, and also the flashed over translucent holes that are used for ordnance. Some options don't apply on this aircraft. The wing spar is actually screwed to the lower wing halves, and then the upper wing half, seen here, is glued over the top. Once again, we can see some nice raised, subtle surface detail. The rudder features some really nice subdued raised fabric tape detail. Also, it's held in place by a simple tab, plastic tab, without metal hinges or any other complications. The horizontal stabilizers are moulded as a full span part, which simply rests on top of an insert at the rear of the fuselage. The elevators are moulded as separate parts. These are held in place by a choice of either one of 2 tabs. One of them sets the elevators at a neutral position and one in the drop position. Similarly, the separate inboard and outboard flaps may be posed either in the neutral position or dropped. The breakdown of the main wheel parts caused a bit of a ruckus when it was first seen. The wheels are actually made up of 14 separate parts. The majority of the parts are these separate tread sections that are glued to the circumference of the main plastic wheel halves. These allow a very realistic depiction of the deep block tread, and the fit is perfect. The rest of the undercarriage detail is beautifully done as well. Retraction struts, main gear, and plumbing. I think it would be fair to say that
this kit offers more options than any of Tamiya's previous 32nd scale kits. Here we can see the needle propeller blades and their associated spinners. Here are the paddle style propeller blades, which also come with a subtly different spinner. This is one of the lower engine cowlings with the standard short carburetor intake. The lower cowl, as well as the side and top cowls, are clipped in place and held in place with magnets, depending on which cowl we're talking about. The option of the long tropical cowl intake is also included. Slipper tanks for the wings are provided as an option, and we can also see here one of the three exhaust options, the shrouds. The other exhaust options can be seen here, including the single parts for the 5-stack exhausts. The two Merlin engines are beautifully detailed. Some of the core engine parts are common to the Spitfire and Mustang, but many of the detail parts are unique to the Mosquito. It's hard to appreciate just how good this cockpit is by looking at the parts on the sprues, but suffice to say that I think this is probably the best cockpit that I've ever worked on. The cockpit subassembly really is a little model in its own right, a real gem. And speaking of gems, the clear canopy is absolutely beautiful. It looks pretty good here, but it looks even better sitting over the complex multi-part canopy framing. Amongst the other clear parts are the middle clear section of the instrument panel sandwich. These represent the instrument lenses. One of the improvements in this kit is the photo-etched front faces for the instrument panel. These are thinner than the previously supplied plastic parts and look a lot more realistic on the finished product. A second photo-etch fret includes harness straps, as well as the very nice intakes for the wing radiators. Tamiya also supplies a bonus set of clear cowling pieces as a limited edition for the initial export version. These are in addition to the solid grey plastic parts. Markings are supplied for 3 aircraft, 1 Polish, 1 New Zealand and 1 Australian. A large second decal sheet is also provided with stencil markings, some unique markings, the instrument dial decals, and also rank markings for the 3 very nice crew figures. The package is rounded out with a number of screws, large and small magnets, and also some polythene caps and even a screwdriver.
And so that will hopefully give you an idea of the basic contents of this kit. It's difficult in 10 minutes to give you a full appreciation of the comprehensive detail, the accuracy, and also, I can tell you from personal experience, the remarkable level of fit of this model. The sheer number of parts makes it look a little intimidating, but if you tackle it as sub-assemblies, you really shouldn't have any trouble, particularly if you've already built any of Tamiya's previous 32nd scale kits. This time though, with the Mosquito, Tamiya has raised the bar again. Rather than rest on their laurels, Tamiya's managed to make incremental improvements, including the photo-etched front for the instrument panel and the rather clever block treads on the all-plastic main wheels. Attention to detail is just fantastic too, and we have more options in this kit than some of the previous 32nd scale offerings. This is an outstanding model. If you have the slightest interest in the Mosquito, then you'll really want to grab one of these. And of course, it's available right now from Squadron Online. Well, thanks for visiting us here on Squadron Scale Workshop. We'll have more for you from model shows and also new kit releases in the very near future. Bye for now from Brett Green.